Hello, everyone. Welcome into the Brit Cultures. The Brit Cultures is a series of informative lectures about different cultures around the world based on the consciential paradigms. Today, we are going to discuss about Universalism in practice with a special inviter, guest. So let's go to the video before. So hello, welcoming again. As I'm telling, today we are going to talk about Universalism in practice with Djalma Fonseca. Please, Djalma, can hear.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Hello.
Thank you to be with you guys today. It's a pleasure, especially to speak about universalism.
Okay,
nice
thank you so much.
Subject. Thank you.
Just presenting yourself, you are a computer system specialist, volunteer, teacher, and Penta practitioner since 1989, currently volunteer and a teacher at Conscious at UNIFE.
Yes.
That's right. He works in the international area too, as me.
Yes.
Let's present myself. I'm Virginia Ruiz, for those who don't know me. I'm psychologist, and I did a master in public health. And I'm a volunteer since 2005. I'm from Spain, but live here in Fort de Iguazu. So let's start the presentation, Djalma?
Yes, let's start it.
Okay. So thank you. We are having help from Anna. You can, please. Thank you. Okay. So as we were talking, universalism in practice is not theory, it's theorics. It's practice too. As always, we are going to present the principle of disbelief, okay, because it's something very important for us before we start the presentation. So next slide, please. Just remember this, the basis of one of the pillars of conscientiology, the principle of disbelief. Do not believe in anything, not even in the information presented here. It is intelligent to carry out your personal experiments on the topics. Okay, so use your discernment and don't believe anything. We are going to talk to you. Let's discuss together, okay? Next. So just to say to all of you, please, in any moment, you can ask for questions to the Djalma and me. Yes, we're going to start talking about the definition of universalist sense. Okay. The universalist sense is the intimate consciential condition of reconciliation and pure compatibility with the beings and realities of the cosmos, maintaining the state of the lucid consciousness already identified with the universal community and the full awakening of the Maximian Universalists in an irreversible, peaceful way. Okay, this is a verbatim of Professor Vieira, yeah? Universalist sense. Djalma, do you want to do any comment? Be free, please.
Well, we need to start saying that universalism is an attribute. So anyone can experience that. Even though it's very profound and you see that's even very evolved, the concept of the universalist sense, anyone can experience that. So this is the important importance of spreading the idea, because anyone can actually understand and feel it, and live it, experiment it.
Perfect. Yeah. And today we are going to bring our experience, okay, to discuss this in a practical way. One of the things that is very interesting is that mega fraternity is the epitome of the universalism. You know, the cosmos matter thought sin will be the life mega fraternity. So it's you know, to develop this attribute, mega fraternity. What is this in the practice? Maybe the concept is easier to understand mega fraternity than universalism. No?
Yes, mega fraternity it's easier because we understand that we need to share, we need to feel in the, you know, live together with all beings, right? Living and not living, especially, right? Extra physical and intraphysical. So when we talk about cosmos, we're talking about the whole cosmos, intraphysical and extraphysical. It's important also to pinpoint that.
Perfect. Another thing that help us a lot is about culture. Because universalism tends to standardize cultural rules everywhere without losing its identities. That is respecting individualizations. That is very important to understand with universalism, not because sometimes we have the tendency to compare cultures. Which one is better? My culture is better than yours, and this is not work like this. I think we have there's no superiority between cultures. I think every culture has their specifics or their particularities, you know, and we can learn from each culture the best of them. Of course, there are in each country, there's like some idiotisms.
Yes.
But it's not. I think we cannot impose our culture to others. No? It's not that the issue.
Yeah. We naturally will see things and work and function when we are personality, we are intraphysical consciousness. We're going to inherit some culture at some point, and naturally we are going to live by this culture. So one of the things that is important is to really get acquainted or live or sit or be profound about other cultures to broaden or to make it flexible in the sense of opening up to other
and the Djalma has a lot of experience, because he lives in different countries. So you have this perspective of different cultures, understanding other behaviors, other
their values, their way of seeing their perspectives, and it's very interesting to actually understand more about other cultures and actually even living very close to them. After I was invited to do this actually yesterday, and in this week for some reason a lot of those experiences came, and especially the ones that I had when I was very young, like 20 years old, when I first lived out of the country in the US. When I was in the US, I lived the American culture, of course, but I also had a lot of experience with Hispanic there. I learned Spanish there from scratch, and I learned also Japanese from scratch. I had a lot of contact with Japanese community. New York is different from Brazil. New York is a tossed salad. Brazil is a melting pot, right? Because everything melts inside Brazilian culture. But in New York, they tend to become communities that live by, but they retain a lot of their own culture and their own community. So it's very rich living in a place like this, because you have the opportunity of living with a lot of different cultures, even though you're not in all those countries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it's an opportunity to live in another country, because it's for the consciousness is a laboratory, to understand yourself, to understand others. In my experience here in Brazil, I have some Brazilians don't like their own culture. At the beginning they reject, they don't like, and sometimes they prefer European culture, and I am from that culture. And at the beginning I didn't understand why, because it's not for me. Maybe it's normal because I was born there, but how can you put over, or how can you overvalue other cultures? I think and for me at the beginning it was like a shock, like, wow,
Yeah.
why they are thinking like that. But one of the things that for me is very interesting is to understand the whole of those things. How are the Brazilians? Why they are like that? What they like it? What the things that I can learn from them? From the history, or for example, the flexibility that in Brazil they have is very interesting. So, and this is very different from Spain, that is more rigid. So these things I think, help the consciousness to be more closer to the universalism.
Yes, it does, definitely, because you see things from other perspectives is very rich. It's very rich. So understanding reality from other perspectives enriches the way we see things, right? So it's really important to do this.
Let's continue, please. The next one. The cosmopolitan is the nowhere man, the man who belongs nowhere. Strictly speaking, the earth is mega country and human beings are the citizens.
Well, I can relate to this concept very much. Yeah, because I love everywhere in Earth. Well, at least the part that I know better. I haven't been to Asia and Oceania, but Europe, Africa, and Americas, I have been around a lot. So yeah, it's we can understand that Earth is big, but it's so small. So we're all living together in this. I would say it's not a mega country, but it's a country. It's a big country. It's a big country in a small planet.
Perfect. And another thing that is interesting in this is in the Tertulian debate room, there is neither political left nor right, neither political situation nor political opposition. All seek there the universalist enlightenment or the theory's whole philosophy. And this is very
open to anything, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes you can think different from other person. You can have different ideologies, or it could be happen. For example, in our community, we have this people that think different or have different political positions, but it doesn't matter because it's like it's not the important thing. It's just like
we need many times to agree to disagree, because we say that there is a binomium that we say admiration and
disagreement. Yeah, of course, of this. And then when you go to the para-provenance, you're not going to have any position. The position disappears.
Yes.
Only if you go to the baratosphere, and then you can find this type of groups. But in the in the intermissive
Yes.
course, or in the
yeah, you won't find that.
And this is another interesting thing is, in the world state, borders, countries, races, and ethnic groups are heading towards extinction. And megafraternology and universalists are heading towards theory preponderance citizens' lives. Can you explain, please?
Yeah, tendency. Well, we're now living a little bit of that with technology, right? Technology is one of the things that's helping at the moment. Of course, there is technology is not everything. I'm a computer specialist, so I'm the one that can. I'm not going to defend technology. The other way around, I will say that technology is a big tool that helps cultures and people to get closer, and then the effect of bringing them together, bringing them closer, is going to take a long time, and we'll be more flexible, be more open, little by little. This is a long process. Is a long process of evolving the cognition. We can even discuss a little bit the crescendo there that I usually use for people to understand better what is mega fraternity, right? It's fraternity, unconditional affection, transaffectivity, but when we understand fraternity well, right? Fraternity is living with everyone and always your object is as an object, as a plan to be better to everyone. So this is to have fraternity. But unconditional affection is a little more profound and has to do with the way we relate to people in general, and we relate to situations. And I think this is something that is important for mega fraternity. There is no mega fraternity if you don't understand what is unconditional affection. It's very hard to have unconditional affection to everyone, right? Unconditional affection to animals, to people, to intruders, to amaurotic guides, to everyone.
It's right? Easy when you like someone, but when you don't like it, that's the...
So this is the first sectorism that we have. We like, we don't like. It's not like ethnicity. This is big, right? But these small things make more difference, right? So people you don't like, people you have intolerance, but it's not intolerance because of race. It's intolerance because of behavior, because of whatever the person has done to you or to anyone else. So affection should be unconditional to anyone, and when we reach this level, it's not forgiveness. What I'm talking about is the basic relations that you have with everyone, and then we start from there. We start talking about mega fraternity. That's the sense of universalism that we are talking about the cosmos, because the cosmos has a lot of harmony, right? And the least we can have is real harmony with the beings, and this is a huge challenge. It's a small thing, but it's a huge challenge.
Yes. And then we go to this transaffectivity. Yeah, that.
Yes, then it's very evolved. The transaffectivity is when we evolve to the point where emotions, passions, they are not so important anymore. So empathy
Genres.
is very profound. Empathy is very profound, and it's a level of interaction very, very broad and very profound, where there is no barriers, there are no hiding, there are no. So it's it's something very involved.
Yeah. And this, but we can, do you think that we can have this kind of experience of transaffectivity as a extrapolationist?
Yes, we can. Unconditional affection, transaffectivity, mega fraternities are things that we usually experience when we relate, when we have a connection of some sort, psychic connection with the helper, with the more evolved consciousness, like usually on energetic fields, on courses like ECP2 and stuff like this. The tendency of the whole thought of the extra physical team brings up inside of us those attributes. So you can experience that yourself, at least for some time. So
just for a second, 2 seconds, just
yes.
minutes.
Or no, minutes or hours, or days. Who knows?
Days, eh?
It depends. Exactly. It depends on each one, or it depends on how long you hold to it. You hold on to it, right? And you go back to it, and you work yourself. So you work out yourself so that you can live a little bit more with it.
Okay, I think we can continue.
Yes.
Yes. So we had this this image. I think it's important, to have this overview, this big impact of to see not only your little city or your country,
even your planet, right?
Even your planet
is just a grain.
Exactly.
Small grain. On the Sahara desert, right?
Exactly. That's it. Exactly. And we're a little point in the universe. This universalism is exactly the opposite. It's not self-ego things, not think only about you, or trying to think about others.
Yes, and it's interesting because sometimes when we talk about universalism, people think that it's collective, but it's also very individual. Which is interesting about universalism is that I was saying, right? Unconditional affection, you need to like all sorts of people. So you need to have a very diverse kind of affection, right? So it is very specific because each person is completely different from each other. So Cosmos is like this, right? This difference, this richness, and this singularity is very important. Even though it's very small, the singularity is very important. So it's the big thing, and also it's macro universe,
macrocosmos,
and micro universe.
Perfect.
Macrocosmos and
microcosmos.
Microcosmos or microcosmos.
Perfect. I like very much to use this image. I have in my house because this can help you to.
It helps you to think big.
Yeah, with the thinking, to be more awareness of to maintain your lucidity.
To be in tune with the cosmos flow, right? The flow of the cosmos. This is very important.
Mm-hmm. So let's continue, please. Well, coming to the earth, when we have a proexis, of course, the intermissivits plan a proexis in the intermissivit course during the intermissivit period. And the person plans with the help of the orientator to reborn in different ethnicities in successive human lives in order to openly work towards the experience of universalism. And this is interesting that the whole time, well, it depends of every consciousness, but we change our culture, and this is very interesting. Sometimes we hate some culture, and we belong in the past life to this country, and this is very common.
Yeah, no, one of the things that I usually, interesting that you talk about that. People say that there is prejudice against blacks and everything, but one of the things that we notice is that most of us come from Africa. Almost the majority. It's very seldom, it's very rare a human being that hasn't lived in Africa. And now we are seeing that we were not only 200,000 years ago. We didn't start 200,000 years ago. It seems we have started much before, a million years ago. And with Waterstand University, there are some researchers that show that we have art craft tools that are 1 million years old. So we started very, very far behind. And of course, we don't like to look behind. Nobody of us like to look behind. You know, if people come to you and tell you were like this when you were a young man, and then but I changed. I'm not like this anymore. We don't like to look behind. So most of our African experiences, they tend to have more immature, right? They have to have been more immature than now, right? Because we've been there a long time ago. So that's why when we go and we feel this Holocene, the first reaction is to, no, I don't like most people don't understand that what you don't like is your past. What you don't like is your own experience. And then they project on the person that is making this memory or bringing up this memory. So I've been there, and I know for a fact or for experience that, at least in my case, that's how it works. And I can tell that most people are not aware that they are having a retrocognition there, or a small part of a retrocognition when this happens. And we will have to learn to live with all those things in the future, so that we cope with our own past lives. That's the thing.
Perfect. Djalma, we have a question here.
Okay.
I'm going to put here, Anna's here, Eliane is too. Hi, everyone. And there's a question here from Anna. Congrats, people. Today I watched the news, and the ONS said that the pandemic is a test for the world. Do you think that pandemic can help humanity to develop a sense of universalism?
Well, some of the senses of universalism, I think yes. Some of the attributes, yes. At least the fact that we now want to have one problem in common. We usually say that when people are divided, And what brings us together is a common enemy, right? When there is war and stuff, one common enemy brings everyone together. And the enemy this time is not a culture, it's not a human being, it's a virus. So all human beings can go around, struggling against this common, in quotes, enemy. Okay, so yes, I think that helps in the sense that we need to share. We need to, in many senses, even though it's not going to happen right away. Human nature is going to take a long time to mature, but of course, it's
an opportunity.
It's an opportunity. It's an important context for them.
So people has now the opportunity to develop their universalism if they want this opportunity.
Yes, or to enhance a little bit, or to enhance a little bit, to enhance some of it.
Exactly, we all thinking in the same problem, thinking in the solution, being empathic, because most of us lose someone during this period.
I think for the first time we experienced things like giving faces to statistics, right? When we see statistics of death and everything, usually we don't feel it, but now we are putting faces there, even though this is creating also panic, drama, a lot of emotions involved. But it's better to do this way than to be detached, far away from what's happening to other people. So I think it's good.
Mm-hmm. And I'm saying it seems a paradox, an illness bringing people together, developing.
Even though we know that the illness has a lot of intrusion on that, it's like this intruders actually help us evolve. Intruders can help us develop universalist sense.
Perfect.
To start with unconditional affection.
Perfect. Yeah, in our Practise, I think consensual opponents, we had this opportunity to develop neophilia when you reborn in a new culture, it's not really new, but okay.
It's a different culture from origin, at least at this time.
Perfect. And in the Practise, you are going to work in a group. It's not only you or someone else. It's a group. It's a big group of consciousness. And cooperation, I think, is something very related to universalism. And we have a question here from Eliane. How can pets teach us to be more universalist if they can do so?
I think animals in general, pets and animals in general, Eliane, you know that I'm an animal lover, so in general, I love all animals, even insects. Now I'm learning to like insects too. So I think animals are they have a level of affection and of relation. In terms of affection, any animal can be linked to you through affection. Language, there are barriers of communication, but affection brings you together. And you're going to say, well, but reptile, Djalma. Yes, reptile. I even think that insects understand affection. Insects, like bees and even wasps, they understand affection. My experience. It's my experience.
This is holoconviviality.
Conviviality. In the conscientiogram, there is a page, phytoconviviality, so phytoconviviality and zooconviviality with animals. So I think animals are very important on the process of universalism.
If you're not able to take care of a plant or of an animal or a pet, it's difficult to take care of a human. It's like, I think it's like a crescendo, you know? It's like
no, human beings, they have more independence and autonomy. So the kind of relationship that you have with an animal, especially a pet that depends very much on you, and a human being is quite different. So pets are going to depend you for the whole life. Human beings are going to depend you for 1/3 or 1/4 of a life. Okay, so that's the period where you actually are gonna breed, right? Bring up. So this is quite different, and then afterwards is horizontal, and then it's harder because it's too horizontal, and sometimes not so horizontal. So we will have people that are more mature, and when it's more mature, naturally there is hierarchy, which is how can we say, irresistible hierarchy, leadership, because it's wisdom, it's understanding, it's
no, I agree with you. Yes, I have been learning a lot with them. Lilian is saying it's a matter of eternity in practice. I think so. Yeah, we learn a lot.
Yeah, we learn, especially gratitude. Animals have a sense of gratitude that is really, and sometimes generosity too.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. Well, you were in Africa, you told me another experience with animals in Portugal.
Yes.
I have the other day an experience during Penta with animals, para animals, para pre-humans, and it's very interesting because the sensation that they are in this interexistential field. Helping with this is very interesting, and I saw in that monkeys. Some monkeys, I was really, I'm seeing right, but I felt a lot of mega fraternity, and that's caused me.
The thing is with animals and this interstitiality, I think animals are quite important on reorganization. They play an important part on the energetic fields that are sponsored by the helpers, but they participate of it very, very profoundly, and this changes the link that we have with those animals. In Portugal and in Africa, where we lived, there were several animals in the neighborhood. Big birds, small, like mongoose, small animals like this, and fish, and all sorts of birds. And what we notice with those birds is that after some time we start knowing them. We go around so much that we recognize them, and they come and they get closer to you as they participate more of the work of assistential work that we're doing in that area.
Perfect.
Geese, we've seen Egyptian geese, ducks. In Portugal, there were no animals in the beginning alongside the Minho River, or at least we weren't seeing them. And after we started working, then one duck, two ducks. At some point, we had like 13 ducks coming and going, and they started to recognize us. Even fish sometimes. There we had experience with fishes coming out of the water as we were walking. And yesterday, as I was talking to my son, there was a num preto is a bird big like this, black with a large tail, right? And he came down from the tree. We were parked with the car, talking in front of his house. He came down from the tree and he stayed there. He came like half a meter to the door many times, came back looking at us and walking around for about 10 to 15 minutes without flying, going around and look. And then I would whistle and he would like look at me and look at him and look at me, and they'll go around. He was attracted to us. He wanted to fly inside the car, attracted by the energy,
Perfect.
But
Yeah.
he didn't try to. I felt like he was going at some point to fly inside the car, but he didn't.
Yeah, very interesting. I have two experience with birds in my apartment. When the works are intensified, big courses or something different, they appear. They always appear. It's very interesting. And this is the energy attracts animals to, in the case, the birds. Djalma, we have another question here from Nadina. It's another topic, okay? Do you think that a structure like so-called New World Order could be considered a first step to the world state?
Well, I would say that I don't think so. We are very far from the world state. The thing is, there are, in the beginning, the world order and the tendency that we try to do something more artificial at this point, because world state is not something from outside in. World state is something from inside out. Universalist sense. We are going to have this when everybody has universalist sense. So it's not outside in. But of course, all those things, they bring us together, right? But it's not the beginning of the world state. I would say the world state, roughly 2,000 years at least. At least. There is a lot. And those people that, listen, most of us that are intermissivists now, we had like 2,000 years of CMP, consciential. We had our process of lives, right? Series of lives after our critical life. We had a critical life, a series of lives, and now we have a second critical life. And from now on, we tend to be more on the leadership of this. But it took, at least my critical life was 2,000 years ago. So I can tell you that maybe I'm stubborn, right? And it takes a long time. But most people will take a fairly amount of time to mature through many lives, many cultures, going back and forth. And this is starting now. This is starting after end of reurbanization. End of reurbanization, 2,000 years. and then we have words. So Professor Valdo first time told me 1,000, and then I looked at him and said, no, it's much more, but I'm not going to say more than 1,000, then people are going to be very sad. When I went to Africa, I understood that we need a lot of time. Not because Africa is less evolved, because it's the core, it's the mother of everything. We started there. That is very strong, and we are coming around until we come back to the origin, which is Africa. When we get to the origin, it's going to take, it's taking time, and it's going to take a long time. And we need to respect everybody, right? Because everybody needs to get there.
What we were talking before, we all have the opportunity to evolve, but we need to respect. We are not going to
Right.
to force or to oblige anyone to.
Right.
We
Yes,
can oblige ourselves, at least.
There is a limit for inclusion, as we were talking about. There is a limit for inclusion. Transmigration is a very important opportunity of evolution. It's not punishment. It's a very important opportunity of evolution. So time is, in quotes, infinite, right? We don't pressure people on time to evolve. We evolve through experience. That's why believing is not as important as experience, because experience is what is going to actually make difference at the end, right? So people need experience.
Perfect. And this is
not going to be only what we say, right? What we hear, what we read. We need to live it. We need to go there. We need to, so it takes time.
Yeah, and this is related to about international volunteering, because we all know that the conscienciological approach, or the science, was born here in Brazil.
Yes.
What we are, but there's, of course, intermissives around the world. It's not only
everywhere.
Brazil. There's no evolved persons only in Brazil. There's another intermissives around the world that they are, but of course the person, we have less people in intermissives.
There are Serenissimi evoluciologists everywhere.
Of course.
Intermissivists, of course.
Exactly. Yeah, so all the levels of the scales are around the world. They are spread. Strategical spread.
Strategically located.
Yeah. And this is help us in my experience. The volunteering in this area helps a lot with this. With the Universalists to develop in different ways, but one of the ways is about polyglottins. That is our next slide. That I think is the most important, to be open to interact with other people in different countries that they speak different languages. It's the polyglottins. So. Please, next slide. Can we continue? And here is the language is the mega fulcrum of communicability, the open door to universalism. The mother tongue must always be preserved by the conscience in order to support knowledge of other languages.
Exactly.
So
polyglotism is very important. It's very important to relate, to understand, because the cerebral dictionary,
the brain?
The brain dictionary helps us understand things, right? We understand things based on language. Culture is one part, but language is another very important part. we need to give names sometimes to our feelings. We need to give names sometimes to understand ourselves. We need to give names. We need to reflect upon things. And when we do that, we do in a certain language. So if we can do that in more than a language, then we can be more empathetic and more specific on the assistance of a bigger or a larger group of consciousnesses. Even though people are going to say, well, but if I die, I'm going to know all the... Yes, you are. But most consciousnesses are not. You know, the ones that don't experience the second death yet. And this is the majority
the most,
of the...
yeah.
Yes. That's why I'm saying that it's going to take a long time. So the majority of the world doesn't experience astral projection in any lives, or hasn't experienced any astral projection, any out-of-body experience, any experience of this coincidence, or bigger this coincidence, you know. So they have just a small discoincidence, and we say that they have locked lives, right? Their lives are locked, are not alternates. So this is very important for those that are very much into one reality. And
Perfect.
technology is helping, and world order is going to help that, but it's not the world state yet. It's just I'm not saying that it's not going to help, but we're a long way from. We have a long way ahead. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. For me, I have two different experience. For example, talking or studying one theme or topic in one language is different when I study in other language. Very interesting when I'm thinking in Spanish or interacting with someone talking about some concepts of content theology, and when I turn to English, it's another, and you see things that you didn't see in Spanish. In Portuguese, it's very interesting. You amplify. It's like you have more connection. Say Nazis.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
So exactly. That can help you to your discernment, to your cognition. I think this is the one of the most benefits that you can have with the polyglottins. Even we know that polyglottins is more than 3 languages, but for example, Djalma was talking before about this, the Japanese culture.
Yes.
You have some experience.
Yeah. I speak Japanese too. Yeah, Japanese is a language which was very different to me, in the sense that was too easy. I don't know. Well, I know why. For some reason, I had this retrocognition towards the language. I lived with the Japanese, practically in a Japanese community in the US when I was, and people were talking Japanese all the time, and I was striving to understand what they were saying. Then I went to study in New York University, took a course, very intensive course of Japanese, 15 days, 6 hours a day, 15 days, a lot, and study a lot. When I finished, I was fluent. You know, in 15 days, I was fluent. I still can watch when I put the channel there. I can understand like 30-40% of what they say, and it's been some time already. that I studied those 15 days, like 36 years ago. So it's something different, and sipping into that through the language it's like bringing up a personality, a personal personality, you know.
Perfect.
I change a little bit when I
You rescue.
Yeah, I change when I speak Spanish. I think I'm a little different. When I speak English,
That's
I'm a little
it.
different as well.
That's
It's
it. It seems that it's your identity.
My identity shifts.
It's the new ego or something like
Yeah,
that you can be. It's something. Yes, analogy. Thinking in an analogical way is that you're in the extraphysical and you can. How can I say, you can express with other psychosoma, this transfiguration of the psychosoma.
Yeah.
And then here,
that's good.
just a little, it's like you are a new ego.
Yeah,
and you had the opportunity to, to rescue your trafores, your strong traits.
I lived in Chile for some time, and I remember when I was going away, and then I gave talking to the guy in the customs, right? I gave my passport, and he looked, "Are you Brazilian?" No. Yes, I am Brazilian. Of course, now I lost some of the, but at that point I was really Chilean. I was really Chilean.
We have some questions here. Eliane said, I consider religion in general can be very sectarian, the opposite of universalism. What is your opinion about it?
Yeah, in general, yes. Very sectarian. Yeah. Because it divides, right? It's, yeah. Religion is the number one, and economy comes next, if not together with religion, right?
Perfect. It's the comment of Lily.
The thing is, we tend to, when it comes to belief, it becomes very hard. The other day I was talking that it's sometimes easier to work with intruders than with amorotic guides. And amorotic guides, because they are sure that they are right. And the religion has those things with faith and sureness and
the dogmatic thing. Yeah.
To be dogmatic, this is really complex. So it's not only universalism, right? But openness and other attributes that scientificity and other attributes that are impaired with the religion. On the other hand, it's at some point to come from the subcerebral behavior up, religion can play a good part. Then you need to. It's something that you at some point you need to leave behind.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. We have just, I didn't saw this question. I perceive that when a confirm talks and thinks in a different language, the person changes the holothusenity and presential force. What do you think that happens? What do you think? Why, maybe, do you think that happens?
Yeah, what I think it happens in that moment where you speak another language is that you get the syntony, right? It's like you shift holothosenic syntony. So extra-physically, energetically, you enter in another band, right? That's what happens.
Yeah.
Interesting Portuguese and Spanish. It's a good experience because they are very close and we can understand a lot of it, right? Speaking one language or the other. So we're not shifting so much on the understanding side of things, but we are shifting very much on the Holothocenic side of things. I'm giving now a conscienciogram in Spanish with the team, and I noticed a lot of things. For instance, Spanish is very specific. Spanish is more precise when
Exactly.
the words, they are more precise. Portuguese, especially Brazilian Portuguese from Portugal is more precise. Brazilian Portuguese, because we have the tendency of a lot of culture, our semantics are broader. So we sometimes, when we say something, it may mean a lot of other things. So when we're speaking Brazilian Portuguese, there is a lot of abstraction involved in there. And this abstraction, it has a certain Holocene that is different from Portuguese spoken in Portugal. Doesn't bring the same Holocene. It's the same language, but doesn't bring the same Holocene.
Yeah.
So it has to do with culture, people, a lot of things. And in Brazil is worse, because if you speak with a certain aspect of the country, from Rio, from for instance, quite different from São Paulo. All the environment, all the yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh, you are a specialist, right?
Spain is quite closer to Portuguese from Portugal. Perfect. Thanks, Lily. Yeah, it's very interesting, these Holothocenities, and it's more complex when you, or more interesting, I think, when you are connected with the astrophysical team, and that they are different, and you perceive that it's English, is Portuguese, is Spanish, Australian.
No, I'm telling you, when I'm in Portugal, I tend to change my way of speaking.
Exactly.
I tend to change to actually achieve better connection with the other one. It's important, the connection.
Exactly, and even it was telepathy. You feel the difference between, for example, Argentina, and Spain. Very interesting.
No, Argentina and Spain.
Far away. But then it are in these two species, in these countries. For example, the astrophysical things very positive, but you feel the difference.
Very no, I'm not saying that is, but it's completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different. It's.
So this are the details, I think, when you are studying, or when you are having more experience, that you open more your eyes and eyes to these situations. So let's continue, because there's something very interesting related to universalism, that is the activitization. Just a comment, not to lose the comment, exactly as we from Portugal try to do in Brazil, connection and communication are all important. Okay, perfect. Just to continue. So, activitization, please, can you read, Djalma?
Yes, there are people, sometimes even dromomaniacs, who live in the condition of geodissidents. They have already lived in this human life in 4 different countries. Such consciousness, in general, are more universalist, polyglot, and of wide consciential openness. The mini trauma to the supersensitive person does greater damage than mega trauma to the tougher, strongest profile, experienced, read, and traveled person. Yeah, I can relate to that, because I lived in 5 different countries. In 5 different countries and 4 different continents. So yeah, what happens with time is that yeah, you tend to loosen a little bit your own origin, right? You become a little bit nomadic. We're going to talk about this, and you become a citizen of the universe, right? People ask, where are you from? And you say, no, I'm from Brazil, but not that I'm not Brazilian. I am Brazilian. Of course, this is definitely I'm Brazilian. But when people start, living with you a little bit, but you're strange. You're different because
you don't see Brazilian.
I'm not standardized. I'm not a product.
Look, Djalma,
anymore.
I have the same problem when I go to Madrid to visit my family. They say you are not Spanish. No, you are Arabian.
Arabian.
Yeah, it's so interesting, and then they mix. I have no any root. What I know,
Yeah.
but they don't know how to. They don't. You have like what we were talking before, different identities.
I have like different identities, yes, and then you become something that maybe you're not anything anymore. So that's why it's called gel dissidenciology. You're a dissident because you're not everything, you're not anything anymore, and that's not bad because consciousness is dead, right? The extra physical consciousnesses are like this. So this is not bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was funny. I was remembering the Japanese. I eat anything from the Japanese food, and even Japanese don't eat anything, right? And then they said, "Wow, strange Brazilian. You like that?" Yes, I do. I like that. Strange Brazilian, strange. Japanese don't like that in general. I said, really? But it's good. So you open to experience new things. You learn new tastes, new way of liking things. Also helps you to have unconditional affection that I was telling you. You learn to like everything the way they are.
Perfect. And another thing that when someone is used to travel a lot or living in other countries is, the mini trauma, the small problems or the problems that, mini problems that any one of us have, because everyone can have their own talents and problems too. Yeah, it's not, we minimize. It's not like it's this. We don't enter to in the victimization. Yes. I think we can go. We can overcome. We have this kind of resilience. And I was remembering that once when I was a student in Confucius, and Djalma was the teacher. Once he appears, and he was talking about that. Sometimes we cry and complaining about things that are very small. We are much more than our problems, and it's the problems are they're going to stop in one time, and we are going to continue. So just not to to
overdo it, to overdo them, to overthink, to dramatize things.
Exactly. Sure. That I think is the most important thing with the Universalism, because you start not giving so energy to your problems and to your life, and because I have this and complaining, and because I have a lot of works and other things to do, and I have no time for me, and then you start complaining, and you got more energy to assistance others in this. Okay.
Exactly. We lose a lot of energy doing this. It's true.
Here is a question from Anna. What do you think, in which percentage of the evolutive consciousness scale the universalism is a natural way of living for the consciousness? What do you think, guys?
Well, I think it's a process, right? But I would say that the first profound experience of living by the cosmos, right? Practically, is the teleguided, critical teleguided consciousness, because it's when you really live the flow of the cosmos. I think universalism has to do with the way you relate to the cosmos. That's why cosmoethics is the basics of universalism. Ethics is how you behave. You behave towards the cosmos, right? But the cosmos is there, has a flow daily, in your daily life. To live this in your daily life as part of a second nature, I think is the teleguided. You need to be intrusion free. You need to be intrusion free, because otherwise you're gonna be fighting with the universe, right? Because self-intrusion is to be all the time complaining and fighting with everything that happens to you. Is a lot of reaction and no action, right? So action is when you act. So acting with cosmoethics is acting with the cosmos. So we usually talk about the way we live our lives daily has to do with the universalism. But we're gonna live this profoundly when we are teleguided. We develop small things from teleguided now, right? Small attributes that has to do with this, and then we can understand that. I think daily life is the most important thing. The way you do your things, the amount of energy that you spend to do things has a lot to do with the universalism. Think about it, and you see. Has a lot to do with the cosmos.
Perfect. Okay, we have some comments here, but let's see here. And it's the we were talking. Yeah, exactly as we from Portugal try to do in Brazil. Connection and communication are all important. I find it strange when people say I'm Portuguese. I don't feel like I have always told my man I'm a citizen of the world. Yeah, this is something interesting. Two, food from different countries also help you become more open, more universalist. Yes. Perfect. And it say that it makes sense. Okay. So let's continue with one interesting topic. That is the consciential nomadism.
Oh yeah, this is a very interesting topic.
This is a challenge that, at least for me, I would like to.
Okay. You want me to read?
Yes.
Definition: consciential nomadism is the healthy condition of the consciousness when lucid and wandering, constantly moving from one locus to another, in search of enriching experiences for evolution, providing clarifying assistance to humanity. Evolutionary level: the more evolved, the more erratic the consciousness becomes regarding the lucid consciential self-localization. OBE experiences frequency and lucidity, consciential continuism, continuous self-awareness, inseparability, stateless character of the consciousness. And then there is a question: what index of nomadism do you apply to your own existence? Yes. Yeah, I can relate a lot to this. Not everybody is going to relate directly to this, or to become, or this has to do with your temperament, with your specialization and everything. Not everybody's gonna go through here. So, but this kind of consciousness, for instance, I have experience with the pioneering lots of places. This life, at some point we had 5 residences, 5 different residences, and we would be all those residences settled in a way that I don't need to travel with the luggage from one to another. If I go to Portugal now, to my place, I don't need to bring anything.
You have clothes.
Just my passport.
Just your passport. Okay.
I don't bring clothes. Don't bring.
And your laptop. Your laptop. You know your.
I have laptop there too.
Okay.
And things on the cloud. So if I go there,
okay.
I download from the cloud. So that's okay.
It's
okay. So
you're
an
IT man.
I don't need laptop. I don't need anything. I just my passport. And this is of course just my traveling kit. I have traveling kits.
Perfect.
Right? With everything that I need. I have a car kit. I open it. I have everything that I need for a car. If I rent a car, then I have all on my kit. So everything is done technically in a way
organized
to make things easier and not spend a lot of energy and time with things that are not important, right? So I can spend more time on the task, on the assistential task.
Perfect.
So
this is very important, because sometimes when someone is going to do an international travel, it's like, wow, I need to organize a lot of things. But when you are used to travel, it's not any problem. No. It's like, you know what you are going to put in your, for me, for example, in my baggage, I know I don't need a lot of organization, because you have the skills. You develop your skills, and you know what is the important things. And when you move to other countries, you start giving value. Or which are the most important things that you want to how can I say, to take with you? What's the things that are more important? Maybe your self-research, something that you can have.
No, medicines,
maybe.
I have some kits. I have medicine kit, car kit. I have some kits, and they are ready already. So, how long does it take for me to prepare to stay 100 days in Portugal? It takes me 15 minutes.
Because you are a man. Maybe a woman, it takes a little more. We need more time. But okay.
No, it depends. Well, I have developed kits for with Grace too. Grace has her kits too, and I'm gonna be in 15 minutes, and she's gonna be in 15 minutes as well, because we have already the kits. Whatever is more important, as you said, and then you have already those things separated in a place. You don't use them on the daily life. Perfect. You have this just to travel. A second set of everything that you need.
Another thing.
This is very important.
And it's something that I always think is like, you don't know, well, of course you want to live until the end of your life, until you have time to do your Brexit, but it's something like, well, if I go to another country, you don't know, what is the most important thing? If I decimate today, okay, what are the most important things that I want to take with me? And you realize that you don't have anything, material things that you want to take with you. And this is like an analogy. It's not the same, but it's a little similar.
I'm ready to go anytime.
Exactly. You are ready to go. That's the thing. And ready to go to that country and ready to go to the extraphysical dimension. And this is related to consciential nomadism. That is the capacity to stay in the intraphysical, but connected to the extraphysical, or having a lucid projection. So this is consciential continuance, you know, to be aware of all the time.
One of the things that I notice about this, I think our time is finishing, but one of the things that I notice about this is that whenever I have an existential project going on, I have a house that is like the most important point of my assistance. And this house is usually not the main house. I have the house now is in Portugal. It used to be in Africa. It used to be in Chile. Used to be in Aracê. Used to be here in Serec for some time. And the house where the dogs are now, which is usually the reference where the animals are, is not my reference existentially speaking. Everything goes on my house in Portugal now, even if I'm not there. This is something that someone needs to understand, how location and definition of that location is important, even if you're not there. You're a nomad, but the localization, you spread around as far as localization is concerned.
Perfect. I just remember in something that Professor Vieira used to say, that in the books, Zephyros book, that Mabel was telling that Zephyros has no a unique common extraphysical community.
Yes.
He has a lot, and I was telling before that he spent a long time in Pombal, we know, but he has other locations. It's not only one community, the para-provenance. And this is very important to understand, that we are not only have one home, we can have different places. Okay, maybe one is the main, of course, but in some periods or moments.
Yeah, who knows? In the future, we'll be with several communities, extraphysical communities as well. That is very interesting idea.
We have here a question about Fernando. Hello there. Could you all expand on the relationship between the universalisms, no frontiers, with the self-universalisms, intraconsciencial frontiers?
Yeah, that's the universalistic sense, Marxist sense. This feeling, right? Those frontiers that we're talking about are not our limitations, when we talk about frontiers, we talk about that you might understand frontiers from there is like when you're making your own limitations, when you're artificially defining your limitations, right? Because we don't have those limitations in practice. And sometimes we're so much used to be in one place that we forget, or we don't use this capability that we have opening up to all the universe. So this is the universalism in general. But I would say the most important thing that limits ourselves is self-affection. Affection is the basics of it. I would say universalism should be cosmo-affection, right? Could be cosmo-affection. I understand this way because the cosmos is very affectionate, if you think about it, and if you have self-affection, right, in a good way, then you're gonna have affection towards the rest of it. So the frontiers are like this. We define that for the level of self-affection that we have.
Perfect. Another thing that I would like to comment is about the the modus operandi, the way that the consciousness behaves. Sometimes there's some mentalities or holothoughts that don't help us to be more universalist. Yes. I'm going to give two examples that they are not really close to me, but okay. No, I'm joking. But like a monarchy holothought and military's holothought.
Yes.
Is for example, in the military's holothought, if you had this, you were in the past, you were linked with this pattern or with this holothought in the past, your tendency could be sometimes to close more, and to close and not interact. When you feel that someone is attacking you, or you start defending or attacking, but you defend and you close yourself and you stop interacting with others. And this is the opposite of universalism. And it's too related to self-affection. Why you are defending yourself, what's the things that are. So I think it's very interesting to consider in the self-universalism.
Yes. Very good.
We have here Lily. Little problem is intraphysically to have different houses in different countries takes a lot of economically speaking. No bother extraphysically, it's easier.
Yes. Oh yes, it's true. It's true. Yeah, you need to prepare yourself to have a lot of places. It's true. Depends. If you're planning to go a lot of times to those places, it's less expensive than use hotels and everything. But it all depends on what you're planning to do periodically. But you're right.
Okay, so let's continue to the end. We are almost finishing. I think it's interesting. We are bringing here the attributes, the universality that you can find in the Conscienciogram, the book written by Vieira. Please, Djalma, this is the specialty.
Yeah, those are the evaluation sheets from the universality section, which is the last section of the book. Not least, then last but not least. It's last because I think it's one of the most evolved ones, one of the most broad ones that incorporates most of the other ones that are developed before. So it's very those if you need to understand or to evaluate yourself on any of those 10, there are specific evaluation sheets on the Conscienciogram. Now the Conscienciogram in English. You can take advantage of that.
Perfect. Someone can put the reference of the Conscienciogram. There's in the 700 experiments a question of what have you been doing in order to get out of the consciential micro universe, the little world of your ego, and enter your efforts into the consciential macro universe, the cosmos. So that's the point.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, that's the thing.
it's the egon, we say in Portuguese, egon, the big ego.
Yes, everyone.
Live
The big ego. Yeah.
the ego, they live apart and enter your efforts in this consciential macro universe. And as we talked before, the holoconviviality with Fito, so you can consider inseparability in the consciential nomadism and inseparabilities very related to holocarmality, universalism and polycarmality too. In the first one, you can find the maxifraternality, the polycarmality. So it's very interesting. We invite you to give a look and continue the next one. We have some questions here that we are not going to have time to answer, but we are putting here just you to. I think we debate all these
Most
items.
of the things we talked a little bit, yes.
Yes. I think it was clear for all that why it's important for intermissivists to develop the universalism. But we invite you to answer your questions and reflect about this. Maybe can help you to have new ideas about this theme. And please, the last one. Yeah.
Okay, the acquisition of the universalist sense is the ideal method to overcome the condition of immaturity, delay, or multimillennial, multi-existential, or holobiographical consciential numbness. Do you apply experiments to your daily life in order to amplify your sense of universalism? I think that closed up very well.
Yeah.
With this orthocene of Dr. Vieira.
Yeah. Exactly. It's the invitation to have these experiments in your daily life, because I think I have extrapolationism, and I think you can have too. Everyone can have, to learn a little more about universalism and to overcome the weak traits and our immaturity that in some points we can see, but that we can go on and have this experience to understand better our situation, our consciousness as we are, to see our reality as a consciousness, and to be open to this experience of universalism. Okay.
Very good. Very good.
There's like Eliani, thank you so much. When we as human beings learn, are able to let things go, affect our extraphysical origin, it will probably be easier to become universalist beings.
Exactly. That's the point.
Perfect. I agree too. Yeah, to accept our provenance. With our nature, extraphysical nature, of course. We are here, Anna, thanks. And that's it. Do you want to finish with something?
Just, thank you very much for the opportunity. Talking about universalism is always, broadens our own view, right? We gain a lot of reflecting together on those subjects. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all of you to participate here. It was great to discuss this theme. It's always very challenging, but very interesting. The energy that it gains, a very good energy. Holocene, the Holocene amplifies, and it was very good. Just to invite you, to finish, I would like you to invite you to the International Week that will be in August, okay, on August 20 to 29. So we invite you to participate. We have very different topics, and one of the course will be about this theme, Universalism Practice, that will be on 28th of August in the afternoon. So more information we have in our ISECCon's website. So that's it. Thank you so much for all your participation, and see you the next month. Okay? Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Everyone. Thank you so much.